greatly involved with the police service, both in the action-packed moments and in planning for those action-packed moments. But that gave me a complete insight into the sort of thing that I would now call public service culture and public service. I joined the fire service to serve. And ever since I was 18, I've served. I served as a firefighter. I then went on to improve my education at Anglia Ruskin, did a first degree in sociology, and then I did a PhD in public service culture. And I interviewed police officers, firefighters, some members of the armed forces, and some members of the ambulance service. And during that PhD, I discovered some interesting situations occurring in public service. I recognise that to an extent, public servants don't always work totally for the public, and I noticed some shortfalls in my own behaviour during that time, and some of my PhD is quite critical of who I was and what I became as a firefighter. Having done that, I then thought, well, what do I do with this PhD? What do I do with this knowledge? So I went to Anglia Ruskin and I said, can I write a degree? Can I write a degree mainly for police officers, people that want to join the police service? And they gave me permission to do that, and I set it up, and that degree now runs in Peterborough, Harlow and Cambridge. It is called the Uniform Public Services degree. I led that and I lectured on policing for 8 years. And the whole of my lecturing was about community policing. During the time I was lecturing, PCSOs came on tap, and whilst my students thought that wasn't a very good idea, they thought that police officers were best as police officers with the power of arrest. And I argued at that time that the PCSO was a very important role, because the PCSO reached out to the community without installing any fear in the community. They were never going to arrest anybody. And throughout my 8 to 9 years at Anglia Ruskin, I developed theoretical positions on how the police service could be developed and served better. I then finished at Anglia Ruskin and became a city councillor, so I was serving again. So I served as a firefighter, I served as an academic lecturing on policing, and I served as a city councillor. And then the role of PCC came along, and I put myself into the ring to become the Police and Crime Commissioner. I've done that because I think I can really do it. I can do the work, and I can do the work differently to other ways that it's been done before. I really believe in community policing, and I believe in it to such an extent that I've made a pledge that if elected, I would take the superintendent from the local station into the community. We will take our jackets off, we will sit down in the community with groups of people like this, and we will talk about problems, and we will listen to problems. And the superintendent and the local community will develop some policing priorities. When they're agreed, they will become my priorities. And my priorities then become the Chief Constable's priorities, and one of the roles of the Commissioner, of course, is to hold the Chief Constable to account. I say this not just because it sounds good. 15% of crime that is solved by very clever detective work, hard-working police officers solving crime. The other 85% that's solved is solved because the public give information to the police service. I know from talking to people on the streets that people are reluctant to approach police officers. So I want to break down that barrier. So my efficiencies won't be about cutting back room costs, they won't be about cutting money, they will be working within the existing budget to bring about an efficiency that comes about because the police and the public start to talk. Because there is hardly a crime committee anywhere that somebody else doesn't know about. And probably sitting in this room there are people that are aware that things are going wrong in their community, but people don't come forward and speak. Why don't they come forward and speak? Because they're reluctant to do so. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to be the person that brings the community to the police service and the police service to the community. Now, I've got experience of this. As a firefighter, we did exactly that. We took smoke alarms into people's houses. We advised them about how you avoid dying in fires, how you prepare for your escape. And the public have a great respect for firefighters, sadly, not so much for police officers. So that's where my emphasis will go, that's where my arguments for community policing will happen. I will continue, as the Commissioner, to do what I'm doing right now, which is visiting villages, towns and cities throughout Peterborough and Cambridgeshire and talking to people. I've spoken to about 4,000 people during this campaign so far. Now I know that's not many of the 600,000 people that are going to vote, but it's a wide group. And my last point I want to make is that the point that Jason made and that everybody else will make is that all the public talk to me about is we don't see police officers. Well, I'm making a pledge. I'm going to make some cuts in the Commissioner's office. And those cuts will go to fund 3 police constables. One for Peterborough, one for Cambridge, and one for Hustings. And their sole role will be to walk the streets of those 3 cities and talk to people. So they'll be specially chosen for that job. They'll be funded from my budget, from my office, and they will be doing exactly what people have asked for, to see a police officer on the street. If that is successful, then I will continue to roll that out around the county in different sorts of ways. Clearly, with the budget that we have at the moment, with the cuts that have been experienced, 18,000 police officers' jobs have gone since 2010. Now that's a lot of police officers that have gone. But what we need to do is to bring the community to the police and the police to the community. I am a practical man. I'm a can-do city councillor in Cambridge. I have a reputation for that. I hope people will vote for me. Thank you.